We've got Bitcoin falling. We've got the miners following it. We've got I believe five different Feds speaking today. And something interesting is going on in the M2 money supply. Let's get right into it. So today we've got retail sales coming through. Retail sales minus autos, industrial production, capacity utilization, business inventories. This is probably the one I'm really interested in, is business inventories. US retail sales really gives you an idea of what the US consumer is like, but business inventories gives you what businesses expect the US retailer to be like in the near future. And that is forward looking. And I always like forward looking. But anyways, in terms of Feds, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. We've got 6 Feds, not 5. Sorry, I can't count. 6 Feds. We also have congressional budget coming through today. So today actually has a lot going on in the afternoon. So keep an eye on your portfolio, or don't if you don't want to see it drop like a rock, because all these Feds won't stop using the microphone to beat down your portfolio. But that's what's going on today. So Bitcoin is also down. This isn't good. We don't like to see this. Bitcoin is down. Now, we are in this cloud here. Let me turn this off. We are in the cloud here, the bottom of the cloud, and this is on the 4-hour chart. The last couple of times we've gotten into this cloud, we've gone up. So not bad. So I mean, on this one we went up and came down further, and then went up and then came down further. But the point is, usually when we hit this cloud, there's a sizable bump. Let's look at the last couple of times that this happened. We were up after coming into the cloud. We were up 12.43% that time, and that was in April. And then again, it happened in May 1 on May 1st, and on that one we went up 15.5%. So 12.45 and 15.5. So 12.4. So if we went 12.4 up from where we are in the cloud now, we would be at 12.4. That would take us right back to the previous high here, the cycle high in June of $72,000. That would take us right back to $72,000. Now, if we got to 15.5%, where would that take us? Where we currently are, 15.5, somewhere like this. That would take us right back to all-time highs. So this lead off here that we've been experiencing is the move that is likely going to take us back to all-time highs on this thing. And if you've noticed, sometimes when we hit the green thing up here above, we just go sideways a little bit and then way higher, sideways a little bit, way higher, sideways a little bit, way higher. So we can hit this green part here, go sideways a little bit, and then way higher. We are back on the 1-day chart for Bitcoin here. You can see that we are below the 20, the 50, and the 5-day moving average. In fact, the 5-day moving average is up here at 66,000 right now. Let's just do visual order real quick to get a real good bring to front. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, it's all the way up here still. Up at 66,000. Yes. Okay. And you can see that this box I drew down here yesterday, we came right down to it, almost touched it. I do think we're going to go inside it a little bit. I think we're going to get down to about 63,000 before turning around on this thing, especially if we come down to the weekly. I think that shows a good one. Let me see here. Yeah, the weekly. Yeah, the 20-week is down here at 63,540. I don't think that we give up the 20-week moving average. I think we touch the 20-week moving average maybe this week or next week, but sometime soon we're going to touch this thing, and I think that's where we're going to see ourselves move back up, just like we did back here, where it was April 29th. We didn't touch it, but we got very close to it, and then just immediately started going up again. If we see anything with a long wick, like we got back here on April 29th, and a blue candle, or on your chart, probably a green candle, in that situation, I would be looking at this thing to start turning around and going back up, and going back up with force towards the all-time highs again. And like I said earlier, that just like our previous move into that red cloud on the 4-hour, go down here, let me bring up my clouds, turn off all these drawings, takes a minute to load. The last time we went into this red cloud, which we are currently in right now, which was back here, the last 2 times, one time we went up 15.5%, the other time we went up 12.5%. 12.5% takes us to $72,000 again, and 15.5% takes us back to the all-time high for Bitcoin. So that's absolutely what I think the next move is going to be, and I think it's going to come sooner than we think. So that is what I'm watching on Bitcoin right now. Let's move on to the miners real quick. So you can see that Bitfarms it came down. So I included after hours here. Now I don't really need after hours anymore since we are back, since it's not pre-market anymore. So we're coming towards the 20-day moving average here at 292. I do think we will get caught there. I think we're going to get caught about right here. Let me make that white. All right. I think that's where we're going to come down to right now. I think we're going to come down to this area, maybe slightly higher than that, and then start turning back around again on this thing. There were rumors yesterday. Now I can't confirm them, but they were just rumors that CleanSpark was actually part of the negotiations of a potential buyer of Bitfarms. That was very exciting. That came out yesterday. Now I don't have confirmation. I wasn't able to find confirmation. There was, what's his name? Was it Mike Alfred on Spaces was talking about it yesterday, and it started just lighting up the internet with information, hearsay about CleanSpark being involved in potentially buying out Bitfarms. So that's interesting. We don't know if they're still doing it or if they're still interested or trying, but the rumor is going around that CleanSpark is potentially interested in buying Bitfarms. And honestly, that wouldn't bother me at all. Two of, some of the most efficient miners in the business teaming up. Oh man, can you imagine how awesome that would be if that were to happen? They're just two just rock solid companies in terms of their their efficiency of production of Bitcoin, and if they were to get together, that would be pretty great. A lot different than if Riot were to get together with Bitfarms. I think Riot would make their efficiency fall if they were to buy them out. Anyways, so we're looking here. Now, what am I searching for now? I'm kind of searching for a top now. I'm looking for tops. I don't think that this was the top. I don't think that 323 was the top. Now, let me get out of the 1 hour. Let me go to the 1 day. All right, so we are up minus, actually, we're down 2% today almost. And volume's kind of topping out. We are overbought, but it's not terrible. We've been more overbought before in the past. We could stay overbought for weeks, honestly. Anyways, so what am I looking for? Let me turn this thing down. Oh, sorry, that was the 20 hour, not the 20 day. Yeah, the 5 day is going to catch up and meet us at about 293, 295-ish. And then we'll probably use the 5 as support. Hopefully that's what happens. Okay. Let me get my bearings here now that I've ruined them. All right, so this is what I'm looking at. Let me turn off drawings. Let me bring up my thing here. I am looking at price to get up to this cloud here, somewhere about $4. I'm looking for a $4 minimum move this cycle. That's what I really want to see. I'll start looking for a top between $4 and $4.47. That's what I'm going to be searching for, a top. And I drew a little box up here. What's this one? I don't know what this one's about. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't need this one anymore. Okay. I'm looking for a top. Yeah, and it kind of correlates with this one up here where it was what, 420 to about 463. I'm going to be starting to look for top signals over here, and I'm going to find those top signals on the weekly chart. And let me go here. All right, let me turn off this one. On the weekly chart, I will be looking for these candles right here. This one here on December 26th, big blow off top. This one here, February 26th, big blow off top. And now that is how far from the top? It was actually, so if you sold at the best part of that candle, you would have been 18% down from the top. So let's say the top is 450, 18% off of that, 462, sorry, the top of this, 18% off of that would be at about 374. So I'd end up getting out around 374 in that situation. What about this one? How far off the top was that one? The very, very tippy top, it was also about 18%, or from the tops of those ones, about 7%. Okay, so you could miss anywhere between 7 to 18% of the top, looking and trading after the blow off top comes through, but you don't know if things are turning around until you see the blow off top. So I will be looking for this thing to move up much higher, around that 450, 460 range, and then I'd be looking for blow off top situations, in which case I'd be probably catching it about 18% off of the top. Okay, let's go really, really quick through our favorite miners. First of all, if you were in Cipher warrants the last few days, wow, this thing did awesome. I mean, it went up over $2, came back down to 144. I'm looking, maybe I'd reload at about 120s, in the 120s. Yeah, at about 120, 121. I'd be looking to potentially reload. I might put in an order for that, a smaller order than I had before. And I'd be, again, looking to offload around, in this case, the next time, I'd be looking to offload around 220-ish or so on that. And that was a really good move if you were in it. All right, let's take a look. Start with CleanSpark on the day. CleanSpark is at $18.63. We are holding above, we're holding above $18. It's really great. Let's take a look at our moving averages. We're above the 5. The 5 is at $18, so we could potentially trace back to $18 and then move back up again. We do have a little green arrow here pointing us up, which is the right direction. This could end up looking like a double bottom right here, like right here, bottom, bottom, midline here at $20.19. And if we close above that, we could be looking at moving back up towards the highs around $25 range, maybe even 30. I am expecting this summer to be looking at around a $30 to $32 clean spark. That's what I'm hoping to see here. That's my expectations. Let's see if the fib clouds agree with me. 26 to 31. Yeah, that's great. I'd be looking for a top in this cloud up here, just like the last two times. Let's take a look at Mara. How is Mara doing this morning? Mara is actually not doing great. It's kind of in the middle here. It's hugging this purple line, but it does mean it has a lot of upside because it could move up to these green clouds, which it has. Every previous top of the cycle was in this green cloud on the daily. And right now that is at 33 to 37. So between 33 to $37, and that would be a move up from here of 68, potentially almost 90% up from where it currently is on Mara. It is sitting on the 50, between the 50 and the 20. It's got to get above the 20-day moving average at $20.40 in order to really start taking off on this thing. That's what we want to see. Hopefully we'll see it soon. That would be excellent. Okay, let's move on to RIOT. How's RIOT doing today? It is down 3.21%. Of course, that's to be expected when Bitcoin is down as much as it is. I bet you MicroStrategy is probably suffering a little bit, but sometime this week, MicroStrategy is going to do a big purchase of Bitcoin. So we should see a pretty significant big up move when that $700 million of Bitcoin comes through for MicroStrategy. Again, we are hanging out below the midline of the clouds here. Usually, RIOT has failed to get to this cloud the last couple of times. So I would be expecting it to maybe get to the bottom of the cloud at 1765, maybe if we're lucky this, for the summer run, assuming the summer run comes through. I'm still operating as if it's going to. We'll see here. That would be a 67% move to get to the bottom of it. Or if we got to the top, that would be an 83% move for RIOT from its current values right now. On the downside, we could see RIOT come back into this channel, and if it does, I'd expect it to come back down to about the $9 level again if it was to do that. I don't know if it will or not. It is kind of holding the top of this here. We are below the 5, but we could bounce off the 20, which would be at 10.19, and come back up around $12 before hitting like any significant resistance here. All right, let's take a look at BitDigital. How is BitDigital doing today? BitDigital is down 3.5%. We've got a theme going. We are still in this aggressive uptrend. We did kind of stall out here at this midline of the fib Bollinger Bands. Let's see here. We could do some decent runs here still off of this. I mean, it could go up to $4.05, 441 before hitting the cloud. But sometimes Digital hits the cloud, retraces a little bit, and hits the cloud again, and then just keeps going up through the cloud. And if it were to do that, I would expect it to come. And honestly, for BitDigital, if it gets a good squeeze out of it, I would be looking for it to come up to this trend line here from the previous tops, which would be hanging out just under $6 here by the end of August. Yeah, just over $6 by mid-August here, right? No, yeah, just under $6, $5.80. That's what I'm looking at here for BitDigital when this thing opens up and goes up big, which it tends to do in a big way here when it starts taking off, just like it has the last couple of times that it's done this. All right, let's take a look at IREN. How's IREN doing? Today, IREN is down 3.3%. This thing is on a heater. It is absolutely taking off. I mean, even the candle it's printing right now is still bullish. Look at this. It's printing a hammer here. Now, hammers generally are going to be bullish at the bottom of a move. But if we turn off these drawings and we can see it better, let me turn this off as well. IREN has been printing hammers on the way up, one here, right? So June 3rd, then it went up the next day by 11%, then another hammery looking candle here on June 5th, followed by a day where it was up 13%. And then we had two hammers, inverted hammers in a row, basically, followed by a 19% move up. Then we had another hammerish looking candle, not exactly a hammer, but close, followed by another 9% up. If we get a hammer candle today, could it be another 10% up day tomorrow? Not tomorrow, because tomorrow the market is closed, but the day after. And that would be what, 10%? We could be looking at $15.70, maybe knocking on the door $16 by the end of the week here if that trend continues. This thing is going ballistic. I'm going to end up having to reassess my where I think I'd pick this up here going pretty soon. I mean, the 20 20-day moving average is already catching up to $9.92. Let me make sure that's still the 20. I said it's still the 20. So yeah, $10 might be where I'd be looking to pick this thing up now. Maybe by the time this thing is done going up, I might even be looking to pick it up at $11. I'm fluid with this, and I have to be because it's still going up. And I'm not chasing, so I have to reassess where I would be picking it up. Like during IREN Millionaire, I said about $9 is an area I thought I'd like to see it be picked up, but it's gone up significantly since then, and it's taken the 20-day moving average up with it up to nearly $10 now. So I would have to be saying $10 is probably where I'd be looking to pick this thing up now. This thing is crazy. It's crazy. Let's see. What about CORZ? CORZ is down 5.68%. It is making a move for that 20-day moving average. I really want to see it come down to the 20-day moving average before I would feel good about this gigantic move. And currently the 20-day moving average on CORZ is down at $6.86. That's where I'd want to see it right now. I'd want to see it down there before I personally would be interested in this thing based on technicals. And of course, I want to see how it behaves with the 20-day. If it slices right through it, I'd be waiting. If it bounces off it, then I'd be looking at potentially going in on this thing. Let's take a look at WULF. We haven't looked at WULF in a while. How is WULF doing? It is up 0.68% today, bucking the trend. There's this huge gap in here. I can't remember what happened there. I don't really follow the news on WULF. I probably should. I don't cover it enough. I have too many that I'm covering. I can't follow this many that closely. There's so much news, so much stuff going on all the time. WULF's up at $4.40 something cents today. I'd be looking at it to come back down to the base here, 378, and then I watch to see if it wants to fill that gap, which would take it down to 347. So I want to see it come back to 378, see how it interacts with that zone. If it goes any lower, I think it's going to fill the gap around 349, 348, and potentially come to the 20-day moving average, which by the time it got down there is probably going to be about 321 at the lowest for the 20-day moving average for WULF here in the coming days. This is what I'd be looking for like my September, right? So I talk about the seasons. I'd be looking by the second week of August. If I'm not seeing the tops I want to see, I'm either going to sell or I'm planning to hold a Q4. And then for reloading any of these plays, I'd be looking for late September to mid-October is where I'd be looking to reload. That's usually where we find the bottom of the market pretty much every year. So I'd be looking late September, mid-October is where I'd be looking for these lower prices I've been talking about. And if they come sooner, great. But I don't think that they will come later. All right. Now, without further ado, possibly the most important chart I could ever show you. And this thing is super interesting, a little bit scary. It explains a lot about our world, and why everything costs like 10 times more than it did 2 years. Okay, that's hyperbolic. It's not 10 times more, it's more like 2. But that is the M2 money supply. Let's take a look at this chart. Look at this thing. This thing goes monthly. This is a monthly chart, by the way. It goes all the way back to 1959. Now, this chart from 1959 all the way up here to 2020 includes some of the biggest recessions that we have ever gone through. Of course, that does exclude the Great Depression because it only goes to 1959, so that's not included. So maybe that would include some sort of skewed perspective. But somewhere around here was the Great Financial Crisis, right here, 2008. This little bump right here, that tiny little bump. Back here, 1999, right here, 2000, 2001. This is the dot-com bubble right in here. Notice how it doesn't look any different. There's also the oil crisis back here somewhere. and the Cuban Missile Crisis somewhere back here. None of those events show up on this chart in terms of being visually noticeable. However, there is one event that shows up, and even it zoomed out, shows up as visually noticeable, and that is March 2020. That is the only visually noticeable crisis on this chart of the M2 global money supply. And we went up 41% in less than a year. Let's look at 2008. What happened there? How high did that go? Let's see, 2000, when did that thing start breaking down? It was late 2008, it was like September or something. Let's just call it, let's just do December. All right, here, boom. That went up 13%. So December 2007 to January 2010, right? We went up 13% during the Great Financial Crisis. in M2 global money supply. During 2020, we went up over 40%. No wonder everything we're looking at is twice or 3 times as expensive as it was in the past. This thing is a terrifying as well as infuriating chart to look at. Now, there is something special about this chart. Notice the RSI on this thing. Now, look at how it's been overbought basically its entire existence. All right, now look at where it is right now. It got oversold. Even though we're up 40% in value in global money supply, I mean, we went up 40% in global money supply. We got oversold into oversold territory. There's a buy signal. We went down 5%. There's a buy signal on the M2 money supply. The M2 money supply is global liquidity. Global liquidity, when it goes up, Bitcoin goes up in a big way. And we just got a buy signal on this thing. Isn't that crazy? So this thing starts curling back up and it starts coming up, I don't know, what, 4% or something? We could be looking back at like some of the highest highs we've ever seen again on the stock market. I mean, this thing went up 40% in 2020 to 2021. What did Bitcoin do in that same time? Let's do 1 month. 2020 to 2021. Back here, bottom of the market. Oh yeah, that's right. It went up 1,420% from a 40% move. So I guess you can go 10 times less than that, than 14, so it'd be like 140%. So if it went up 4% now instead of 40%, we could be looking at a 10 times less move. 10 times less than 1,400 is going to be 140. So if we went up 140% from where we currently are, I got to make my chart bigger. 140%, we'd be looking at oh, look at that, about 150,000 Bitcoin. What's everyone been saying about Bitcoin going to where? About $150,000? I think that might be a real base case. $150,000, 140% up. And you know the miners do, sometimes double that, sometimes more. So there's your little hope for the day, as well as it's something that should piss you off in a big way as well. So that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video, and have a profitable day.